they black flagged us, and our telemetry showed us at 91 miles an hour, and they said 109 on the pit exit, which is just total balderdash.
The message was delivered to Jourdain to watch for blocking. I asked for some clarification if it was an official warning. They said, just when you think you've seen it all, I mean, I'm not quite sure if Neifel really wants to stop blocking. If he doesn't, great. Just carve him up, let the guys do what they want. But if they do, he needs to grow himself a set of balls, or it's going to just keep getting worse.
Was it just doom at the end with too much action and too many marbles on the track?
No, it's just too many idiots, that's for sure.
Marco definitely needs a change. You think there's anywhere else he could go, PT?
Well, I don't know if there's anywhere else he can go. The only other ride I could see him getting is maybe with Uber.
Takagi doing a little chop there, working him to the inside.
Not Takagi. Tora doing a chop?
I know. I know.
Hard to believe.
I know.
So you think there's some foul play there?
Karma's a bitch, so we'll see.
Raul came in, and when you're in the pits, he doesn't know where Mario's stopping, and Mario's going to stop at wherever his pit is. If Mario's pit's at the other end, does that mean he has to stop with Mario and then go on down the pit? I cannot believe the call.
Well, I was passing two slower cars around the outside in turn one, and Jerry Carl did it to me again. He was 2 car widths off the wall, and I came up beside him to go by on the outside, and he turned right and just drilled me into the wall. I couldn't believe it.
But Tony Stewart, you were messing with the pop-off valve, trying to maybe control some fuel, and then it popped off. And then we heard on board camera later, a couple of laps back to green, that the motor died.
Well, it's one of USAC's junk pop-off valves. At least next year in the IRL, we go to normally aspirated motors, and we don't have to worry about that garbage.
But he's driving hard enough now. It looks like it's going to mess up Simona going into the turn. Yep, she's got to run a tighter line. A little bit more difficult. Now she goes wide. That's just got to anger her so much. And you're all right. For Viso, not very professional.
It's the usual Tagliani deal. I mean, that's what he's known for. I really can't. I can't get over that. That's unreal.
Very agitated Michael Andretti. You called this. You said that was going to happen out there.
Yep, and this is the worst officiating I've ever seen. Sorry, Brian, but this was bad. Really bad.
When you saw him and where you were, was there any warning at all, or did it happen too quickly?
Yeah, I guess the warning should have been who I'm racing against.
Viso just took us out. I mean, he's a guy that everybody's been complaining about it since the first race of the season, not only in ovals, but in road courses. Everybody knows he's a problematic guy to be around.
That's kind of senseless, you know? I mean, Ed Carpenter was a lap down, then he was 2 laps and probably 3 laps, and then there's 5 to go, and he's not going to cooperate. It's like, what's the point? What are you racing for?
Just a moment ago, Paul Tracy and you, who had an altercation on the racetrack, also had an altercation here. What was that about?
PT's an idiot, you know? I hate to agree with Sebastian on anything, but I might have to agree with him on this one. You know, he's the dirtiest driver out here.
We're being told that black flag for Tracy is for avoidable contact with Junqueira. That is an absolutely horrible call. That shows no understanding of what the dynamic there is in turn 5. If a guy breaks on the inside and angles for the turn-in point, you absolutely cannot avoid him. It's downhill. You're already standing on the brakes as hard as you can, and a guy slides over in front of you. That is 100% Bruno's fault.
The emotions right now for Tony Stewart. Describe them.
Well, I mean, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do in my life. This has been my #1 goal, and every year I get shit on doing it. So, I mean, how would you feel?
Nothing Takuma could do there.
Well, you know, just like I said in Texas, all you're getting is a bunch of damn idiots out there anymore. I don't know what the hell they're trying to prove on a start line. It's ridiculous.
A.J. Foyt out of the race after a tremendous run. What happened, A.J.?
Well, actually, all I've had is mechanical problems. The guys aren't got their heads together and just flat got their heads up their ass, if you want to know the truth about it.
You know, to have something like that come in the way to the championship, too, is just a disaster. We didn't gain any spot on the track, and then, you know, Herta was slow on the track, and this place is very difficult to pass, and I'm racing with Junior with the championship, and he thinks he's got to block me. So, you know, I hope he feels like a hero today.
Silly, ridiculous mistakes that keep you from winning championships, and I don't blame Kenny at all in this case.
Is there any action that you're thinking about taking now?
I don't know, Jan, it's too early to tell. It just happened, didn't it?
All right, thank you, Bobby.
And I was throwing into the downfall, and he hit me again. And he's one guy, and he hit me twice, 2 weeks in a row, and he took me out. So it's fucking disappointed.
Did you come together with Tagliani at one point as well?
Yeah, I think Tag hit me. Pretty typical for him. He's always a bit of a wanker, so he took me out completely that time.
The yellow was poor timing, and unfortunately we got back there with Kimball, and with that guy, anything can happen. But I got to take blame too, because I put myself in that position. I should know better than race him like that.
You didn't get a chance to talk to Ryan on the track. You were pulled away. What do you want to tell him?
It's probably best I didn't get down there anyway, isn't it?
What do you think? Was this Tony's fault?
Well, Katie, first of all, I want to say this is the kind of racing we're trying to avoid. And you had the 5-car out there. That 5-car crashed in the pit lane. Was trying to crash all night.
Well, Paul threw the steering wheel down and discussed. Paul, I know it's a tough race for you. You're disappointed right now, but what about the big picture?
It'd be nice for my team to tell me that we got a fuel problem, Like the last lap, they say, oh, save fuel. I'm out of fuel,
AJ, it was Jeff Andretti that got...
Well, yeah, he's all over the goddamn track. You don't know where the hell he's going.
And it was suspension problem that
kept from knocking him through the goddamn wall. I'm tired of this shit. Got people out there that shouldn't even be in the goddamn race car.
How are this transition going, you here in the pits and watching this youngster Mike Grofford work in your car?
Well, Mike's doing a fantastic job, but our pit stops have absolutely been ridiculous. That's what put me on at the Indianapolis on the air jacks. I'll get into this a little deeper when we get home, because this is no sense in stuff like this happening.
We heard Marco come over the radio and say he feels bad and he's sorry. What happened?
He better be. I think it was a very stupid move, especially on a teammate. Yeah, really disappointing. No wonder Bourdais, man. He once was a champ, and now he's a chump.
Well, we are with Pat Patrick, and he just found out that he has been. The penalty will stand, Mr. Patrick. What do you think?
Well, I don't believe it. It's a typical USAC sanctioning body. It's screwed up. We'll protest it. I'm not concerned about it.
And I've just upset all the medical people because they want me to go to the hospital, and I don't. So if they want to take my license away, that's fine with me, because I've never seen anything such a joke as what we just had out there. We're under yellow for a lap and a half. Someone tries to take my head off.
Have you spoken with Dennis Patolo, Nige, to see exactly what went on, what happened?
You speak to him.
Obviously, it upset Nigel Mansell holding his right shoulder.
I would be just as angry right now if he had hit somebody else on the track. It was uncalled for, stupid, and right now I'm so angry I'm beside myself.
Jeff Ward, you saw part of that accident with Hideki Noda. Can you walk us through it?
Well, I just came out of a pit stop and I was going underneath him on, turn one, and, he just came down on me like he does all weekend long to everybody, and he must realize that guys get underneath, they must lift like he does, but we don't. We're racing out there. He's driving around. He sits so low in the car he can't see.
Well, they're bowling over down here in the Marco Andretti pits, and Dad, you just saw the replay. Your thoughts?
The guy's a waste. He did it on purpose. It's so blatant. I mean, he does it all the time whenever any of us come up behind. A guy doesn't belong out on the racetrack. Complete idiot.
We give each other room. I mean, look, we're going at it. We're next to each other, and we give each other room. Look, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? But it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with, driving people to the grass, and that's Charlie.
All right, there you go. Some honest feelings from one.
No, it's just being honest. Ask anybody. Everybody will tell you the same thing.
And Andrea just turned on me. When he turned on the back of my car, sent my car over Mark, and it's just, there's a lot of people out there that not really paying attention what they're doing right now.
Buddy, I was right on Buddy's gearbox and went in behind him into turn one, and Mark Taylor went on the high line, let Buddy through, and came right down in front across of me and took my nose off. So yet again, he takes, he crashes out of a race and takes me out. So it's further proof that he probably shouldn't be there.
Well, Davey, walking out of the infield care center, you look good, Davey. What happened on that first lap?
It's the first lap of the Indy 500, and Thomas Schechter's an idiot. The bottom line, he's an idiot.
And then Willie T. Ribbs in an accident all by himself. Of course, he is still developing his skills on an oval, as is apparently, according to Mr. Foyt, Jeff Andretti.
Let's check in with Rick Treadway, who's out of the car. We just got a quick look at the replay there. You got squeezed out against the wall?
I didn't even have to look at the replay. I knew exactly what happened. I guess some people don't pay attention in the drivers' meeting. This track, we're supposed to be racing side by side, 2, 3 wide. You know, some people like John DeVries shouldn't even be racing in our league.
I mean, all you see is that, I mean, look, Viso's so deep, it's not even funny. And, I mean, the league needs to figure out how to calm a couple of these guys down. Viso, Moraes, I mean, they're out of control. They don't belong here right now.
I'm sure the commentators up there, as they always do, Townsend and friends, gave me a good rap.
I think Dixon was inside of me, and we were both lapping Greg Ray, and he's 5 or 6 laps down and decides to try to race us 3 wide into the corner. Just we're at Richmond. I mean, he's driven this way since IRL started, and he continues to do it. I mean, he's a nice guy. He just drives really stupid in a race car.
Just basically like cutting me off, and I was complaining all day on the radio about him. And it's no wonder he jumps around ride to ride. I mean, he just, you know, like, it's so frustrating.
Was it just a tough chore collecting that after he got the bump from Elio?
Well, you know, I mean, there's a lot of race to go yet. I mean, I'm a little disappointed the Penske team has to resort to that.
A lot of battles with the Penske team over the years. Not anything new to you, is it?
Well, I was coming to the last corner. I saw Nigel in the mirror. I said, there's no way. I closed the door. I said, there's no way he's going to pass me. And Nigel just never back off. He tried to use my car, my brakes to stop him. And, you know, my car is not a ghost. It's a solid piece of metal that was on the track.
I don't know. Richie sort of was trying to pass a bunch of people. It's like 4 cars trying to go into turn 1. So that's what happens when, you know, nobody knows where everybody is.
One more time, Mario. I couldn't hear what you said.
I said, this is what happens when you have children doing a man's job up front. That's what happens.
I don't know what he did, but right in the beginning of the race, I mean, why you want to do that? I mean, plenty of room to pass, and I guess when your teammate's winning a lot and you're not, you feel under pressure, so...
There's no use. He makes such bad calls all the time. This has got to be it. They cannot have this guy running the show.
Pat, your take on the penalty. Townsend thought it was extreme. What do you think about getting excluded after the contact in turn 3?
Well, I think Jankura had the line, and I think Thompson was out of line.
That's Dennis's about 8th incident out on the track over the course of the weekend.
There is Vitolo.
He has spun. I don't know how every day in every session he's been off.
I think you're being generous. I think it's more like 10 or 12.
Well,
will you be able to go talk to Eddie Cheever or discuss this at all between now and the next few days?
It won't be a discussion, I'll tell you that. And he was in the way all day, unfortunately, and especially when the leaders come around, he should have a little more courtesy than that, because to me it looked like he took a wide enough apex in the corner to let me by, and then I had to go clear into the grass, and he kept coming in. I had no chance. So a guy like that should not be running, in my opinion. He creates too much problem.
Scott Dixon had some words that were not too complimentary about Danica Patrick. Here's his quote from the Des Moines Register. She's a menace.
Castro Neves turned me around in the pit lane, and what's more upsetting about that is how Chris Neifel runs this series. I mean, this series would be better off if they had a circus clown as a chief steward, because the job he does is a joke.
And you see a whole bunch of people trying to get through Francesco Draconi, who's off the pace but fast enough to cause some problems, Paul.
I don't even know what to say on that. That looks like a nightmare in the process right there.
Tony Kanaan has been released. You're tough as nails, Tony. That was scary. What did you see?
I don't know. Gotta ask Marco and Schechter what the hell they're thinking.
I was, half a yard in front of her. She said that she didn't want to do powder puff racing, but honestly, I think that's what she should do. She's not prepared to run here. Every time she's on the track, she crashes. This time we had the quickest car. We came all the way from the back, and this is serious stuff. This is not for her.
I know how to lose, which I've been proven many times. I think every time a teammate of mine won a race, or even a friend of mine like Dan Weldon won a race, I was in victory lane congratulating them. I never, ever saw Sam congratulating anybody in victory lane besides himself. So
I believe it was Randy Lewis, a 24 car. And so I was just following Foyt. I was taking it easy. The Pennzoil car was just working excellent, and gave him plenty of room. Foyt went by him, so I went by him, and when I got to a point that I could no longer see the front of his car beside me, I knew we had him, we were past him. And then right after that, he hits me. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal was. It just, we were already by him. If he couldn't see me, he shouldn't be on the racetrack.
Lap 83 of 250 at the Milwaukee Mile. A lot of people wondered why Gaston Mazzacani would pick an oval to make his Champ Car debut. He's probably wondering the same thing, Tommy Kendall.
Well, Paul, we saw you right there on the restart throw your headset. Were you upset about what happened there with Pizzonia?
Well, we're on the way to the restart, and suddenly the officials decide we have to tell our driver he's got to pull over for everybody. Here's a competitive situation. Had he been able to go back by Bourdais, he would have gotten on the lead lap. I guess we're not supposed to race. That upsets me.
That's in the exit of turn 1 going into turn 2 by the looks of that. And looks like it wasn't even close. When you move the tire barrier as much as he did there, then he wasn't dealing with inches. He was dealing with feet.
Scott Dixon out of the car, Gary.
Yeah, Scott, tell us what happened, and did something hit you or your car?
Yeah, well, those two idiots behind me, Moreno and Servia, were trying to fight over position. And I don't know, they obviously didn't see everybody else slowing down and just ran right into the rear of me.
What happened, Steve? Donnie Beachley's coming out of the pit, getting up to speed at the bottom of the track like he's supposed to, and Greco just drives right over the front of his car. I saw Greco doing stuff all day long out there. He did the same thing to Andy Michner going into turn 3. I've just had it with the guy. I hope the IRL does something with him. Man, the 2005 Indy 500 winner, Dan Weldon, he's been lost in a little bit of the media hype. A lot of people focusing on the 16 car. If you ask Dan Weldon, though, does he really care? Does it bother him? Is he jealous? Here's his response.
Don't care. Like, who gives a really? I mean...
They put you both in the back of the emergency vehicle on the way to come here. What was the conversation between the two of you on the ride to the medical center?
I'll just say it's a good thing he already had a concussion last week. I was nice.
What does that do to your chances in this event? Well, I wouldn't count us out yet, Jack. Obviously, we're devastated. I can't understand what the hell they think they're doing out there.
I know, I saw him hit you.
Look what you did. Look to everybody. Talk.
We're with Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson, what happened?
No, Raul did. Raul pressed.
What he's saying is that Raul Boisel caused the accident?
No, talk, ask Tell and ask Derek Daly who caused that.
Do I look like I honestly give a really about Buddy Rice? Come on.
You had some tight racing with Thomas Scheckter and also with E.J. Viso at earlier stages of the race. Is it drivers getting a little stingy out there, or is it just the kind of racing you expect here in a mile and a half?
Well, you know, I always expect Scheckter to drive like that. You know, that Viso, I don't know who he is even, so.
He seemed dumbfounded by the penalty and said that you came down on him.
Well, that's Hunter Ray. You know, you're going to get that. And you went over to had a few words with some of the Penske people. Care to share with us your thoughts?
Well, I just asked him if Al said what happened, because that's not like Junior to do something like that. And he, you know, I'm sure something happened and they pushed us off the track, but it's just unfortunate. Get a little sick and tired of this stuff.
I'm just slowing down, trying to get out all the crud out there, and we got drivers that look 2 inches in front of the race car and don't see the yellow until it's too late, drive right in the middle of an accident, and you know, we got guys out there that should be writing articles instead of racing cars, and I don't know, I just can't understand how we let people do that.
Well, you made contact then with another car. It wasn't a matter of running over debris, if I interpret what you're saying.
No, the guy behind me didn't see it, spun out, and drove into the side of me.
All right, we had a conversation with Pat Bedard. He indicated that there was contact. He didn't know how it developed. He said he was spinning, and he thought it was your car.
Well, yeah, it was my car, and, you know, I can believe he doesn't know what's happening out there.
Well, they're remarkable. I mean, whether it's Graham or my own guys like Neil and Tristan, they're really driving incredibly well. Of course, at this moment in time, I'd like to go kill somebody for taking out Neil, but...
Did you get to see that on the monitor, or did Brian say anything?
Well, it's pretty obvious. You know, we saw it on the monitor, Jan, as everyone can see out there. You know, it's obvious some drivers just can't stay out of trouble down that corner.
Now, Michael drove for you last year, and he had the same problem in the same corner, but unfortunately in your car that year.
Like I said, it's obvious some drivers can't stay out of trouble in that corner.
You know, if he's that desperate for 2 points, then, you know, that's the risk you take. You know, I don't feel sorry for him. You know, he took me out of 5 races last year, so, you know, I guess paybacks are a bitch.
You going to go have a conversation with him?
There's no point. I mean, if he doesn't know what he did, he's not. If he hasn't learned it yet, he's not going to learn it. So there's no point talking to him about it.
Now, what, do you think this was tire related again on that right rear?
I know it was. It blew out. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm too damn disgusted.
It's like they all love preaching safe racing and everything, but when you're going to pass them, they're just douchebags, you know?
Now, what happened during the race that dropped you back into his clutches? Because he looked so strong in the beginning.
I got heroed out there.
Did you think you had him cleanly passed?
I had him covered. He knows exactly where I am when I'm behind him, but as soon as I got beside him, he lost where I was. So, which is BS. The guy, you know, what can I say?
All right.
We'll handle it.
Thank you, Al.
Thomas, we saw your frustration in throwing the gloves at Alex. What was, from your perspective, how did that situation unfold?
It was just a stupid move way too late in the race. Just someone, you could see the way he was driving before he was going to get in a crash.
Danny, do you know who it was who stopped suddenly in front of all of you?
No, I wish I did, but it wouldn't do any good. You know, I just can't believe that somebody'd stop on a racetrack to look at an accident.
Hey, Jay, how'd that start? Well, I don't know. He ran right square in my goddamn left front. What are you talking about? Tubing?
He said you slowed down dramatically, he said.
Racing, green flag, and I slowed down. Good for him.
Johnny's response was that you were up high. He came up and you simply drove into him. How do you react to that?
Johnny Rutherford, every time he gets in an accident, it's somebody else's fault.
To finish 4th, 5th, or 6th, everyone in the stands knows who's the damn leader, and our officials don't. Just an absolute mess.
I'm going to get your reaction. Chip Ganassi just said a moment ago that maybe you should have lifted because you were in the middle of 3 wide. What's your thought on that?
I think it's adorable.